Did you watch the newest Matrix?
No.
The storyline in that with Keanu Reeves is the exact same thing as Dolores in this. Like,
Okay.
in that he's a game maker, he made the other Matrix movies, and then all of a sudden, like, the characters in that game kind of start like coming to life as he's figuring out he's in the Matrix too, and that's the whole story of that. So I was very surprised that like this was so much like it.
Well, but I mean, I feel like that's kind of cheap and like shitty if that is, you know what I mean? Like they're like, ooh, like you said when you texted me last night, you're like, I feel like they actually have a idea of where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what if it's literally just like Matrix 4 or whatever?
I hope not. But to be fair,
could you imagine?
That would be just
like,
so fucking. It's the exact same story.
This way.
God, I'd be so fucking pissed. But to be fair, in season, I don't remember if you remember this, but back when we talked about it in season 1, they talked about how like GTA and BioShock and games like that is what inspired them to make the show. So now that they're going in the route of her being like, because they were talking about like, what if the video game characters came to life, and then that turned into Westworld doing the shit and all that. But so now that they're in the video game like world and that they talked about, that's what makes me think maybe they do have a plan. But it is very similar to the Matrix, so I don't know. But her boss hates her writing, and this also is just like the Matrix. They have a whole board meeting about this, and she's trying to write stuff that she likes. It feels like the writers of Westworld being like, we tried to write nice stuff in season 3, but all you guys want is sex and violence. And like they were bitching about that, and like she almost got fired because she wants to write. But that is also very similar to the Matrix.
Is Evan Rachel Wood in Matrix 4?
No.
Well, but see, what I thought was interesting too was with those lights.
Mm-hmm.
Why was the guy standing right underneath the light and it wasn't on?
Yeah, and then when she gets close, it blinks on. Yeah, that's why something's with the lights.
What
if the lights are spawn points?
Well, it could be that, but that's a lot of spawn points. I mean,
there's a lot of people in that town. And if it's supposed to be like an online video game, people could be constantly respawning or something. I mean, I don't know if that's the kind of game they do, but if it's something like that, those could be spawn points.
You could totally just turn this into the Matrix, right? Like
maybe they are.
I mean, like you totally could.
Maybe Keanu Reeves is in next season.
They're like, sitting remotely in a chair somewhere with like a thing on their forehead, and they're just like, you know what I mean? Like you could totally just.
No, yeah. Part of me, because this episode is called The Auguries, and remember when they were having their memory stuff in like the early seasons, those were called the Reveries. That's what Ford called them or whatever.
The Reveries.
So these were, but I think it's just because what she was doing when she says like when she's making her pitches. I think that's called The Auguries because it's like augmented reality. But I was wondering if something with the name of that episode was going to be like, oh, it's like some kind of VR thing with people, like this is a VR world that she's in or something.
Good.
But I don't know. I feel like there's endless possibilities because it's video games. So I feel like it is interesting that way. But I'm a little worried that they won't stick the landing because they haven't always.